Hello, fellow YouTubers. I'm back again. I'm in a 2018 Model S, and today I am going to be doing something that I feel needs to be done, primarily because most of the reviews really didn't give any technical information about the car as far as efficiency goes, when you have it in air conditioning mode, or when you don't have it in air conditioning mode, driving at a steady state. The differences between the efficiency you get out of a Chevy Bolt as opposed to the efficiency on a Model 3. So I'm going to put those two together. I'm going to be taking, I'm in Libertyville right now, and a couple weeks ago I took a Chevy Bolt from Libertyville, Illinois to Kenosha, Wisconsin, and on 294, and there was no traffic, and I put the cruise control to 70 miles an hour, and I was able to get about 5 miles per kilowatt hour, which is roughly about 200 miles per watt hour on a Tesla car. So first things first, I want to just kind of talk about a little bit about the control modules here over the vehicle that you have. You can tweak. Okay. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and into this little screen right here over on the left pane. Now these are all on the Model S. I don't know if you've driven that before, but it's got a chart that tells you how many. It's the same thing. It just gives you over a time period a chart of how efficient you were driving. Whereas a Chevy Bolt will give you a bar graph that will tell you how many miles per kilowatt hour you got per 5 minutes of driving. Now the way that Tesla does this is they don't measure miles per kilowatt hour, they measure watt hour per mile. Okay, so now this is the screen that will give you that. So right now I'm going to go ahead and take this route from Libertyville to 94 all the way to Kenosha, the same exact route on cruise control. I'm going to let the computer do all the pedaling and control the power output of the motor completely, and see what kind of efficiency I get with with all of the air conditioning turned off, the autopilot, all of the tweet, all of the fancy schmancy tech completely turned off. I don't want anything draining the battery whatsoever on the car. For whatever reason you want to lock the window so they don't go out down all the way. You got a dog or something, that's good for that. Display brightness. So we'll go into the lights. Now the lighting in this is just, it's auto hiving from about, okay, dome lights off. That's pretty straightforward. There's nothing to explain there. Locks. Okay, so there's two methods to get into this car. There's really no power button. You don't really need to mess around with a power button. What I do is I just keep this little Tesla card in my wallet here with my iPhone, and it seems to be pretty particular about this card that it has to go kind of like right under. You know, if it's not car's not going on, you have to take this card out and put it like right under the this center console here. Okay, so just that's to know. And then you're better off. You can already see that somebody has already set up 3 iPhones on here to control the car. You're better off just downloading the app and using your phone to control the car. It's just a lot better than using plastic. But that's that. We'll keep going. We got window lock, and if we want the windows locked here, and we got child lock here. That's for the back seat. That's pretty standard with all cars. That's where that is. If you have children in the back, it's under locks, child lock here. You turn that off, and everything on this car, it toggles on and off. Okay, just remember that everything toggles. Okay, so display. See, if I touch this, that toggles. Okay, see how that toggles back and forth? Everything is like that. Music. So don't be intimidated by that. this toggles. Every time you do that, it toggles. Everything is toggleable on this. Just remember that. It'll make your life a lot easier when you're operating the control panel. So let's go back into cars, the car settings here, and we were on display. Display is on auto. Obviously at night it turns just like Google Maps. It'll turn to night mode, and everything will be black with bright white display letters. We'll live in auto for right now. And then driving here. Okay, now this is what I adjusted. This is really, there's a couple things I adjusted here. I adjusted, this was on standard. The acceleration, I just put it on chill for extra efficiency. Okay, so I want to squeeze the efficiency out of this car. I've got climate control obviously completely turned off. Everything is off. Climate control is off. No heated seats. Slip start, I'm not sure what that does. Regenerative braking, I noticed when it was on standard, I feel that it's a little bit too strong. I like it on low because I'm the type of person that, like I said, I'm all about efficiency, and that's efficiency and durability, reliability. Those are three reasons why I buy a car. I don't buy a car because it's got leather seats or because the paint looks like glass. I mean, to me, that's ridiculous. I would never buy a car. I'm an engineer, so I don't care about that. I'm not saying that I'm not downing anybody who buys a car for anything. I'm just saying this is just my preferences. Everybody's got their own reason for buying a car. I'm just showing you the ways you can tweak the car if you are interested in being efficient with electricity. Steering mode, this is sport comfort, and what they do is they give you power steering. I just leave it on standard, and I also put the regenerative braking on low. So what that's going to do, it's going to allow the car to decelerate a lot slower as opposed to having it on standard. When you have it on standard, the car, you let off the throttle, you let off the accelerator, your car slows down really, really fast. Now, I look way ahead in front of me about at least 500 meters, and I see a red light. I immediately let off of the accelerator. So, it's just, I feel it's kind of pointless. If I'm going 50 miles an hour, I'm going to let the car just coast to that red light that's 500 meters in front of me. Okay, and you can get, you can regen, you can use that motor. When you let off the accelerator, that motor actually turns into a generator and puts electricity back in your car. So the motor and the generator are one and the same. Okay, so the longer you have the longer you coast, the more electricity you put back into your battery. Okay, it's a good idea. Okay, and I've been using it for years with Priuses and especially with my Volt. That's just the way I drive. I go into the right lane. Everybody wants to get to the red light in a big hurry. I mean, fine. I'm going to coast, and 90% of the time, I'll tell you, I coast, and I get there. And everybody that just passed me up got to the red light before I did, and they got nowhere. So it's silly. I mean, I guess it's just driving preferences. It's your choice. So I did put that on low. That's one of the things I did. I would go to autopilot, and I turn all this completely off. I don't want it on auto steer. I don't want auto lane change. I don't want any of that stuff. My feelings is that I think we should electrify the car fleet, before we have autonomous vehicles driving around on the road. I think that, if you look around you, these cars on the road are getting 20 miles a gallon, for God's sakes. And Tesla's worried about autopilot. I think they should just chill with autopilot, get these cars made, with just basic, proximity control, and get as many cars pumped out as possible without autopilot. It's just increasing the cost. You want to get everybody electrified before you worry about autonomous vehicles first. Let's electrify the car fleet before we worry about, robots driving our cars. That's just my take. Okay. Safety and security. You can power off the vehicle here. Now here is a service where you can see your owner's manual. You can do towing. The owner's manual is right here. And I'm going to go ahead and try to get as much of this information for you as I possibly can online. I mean, I don't know if there's a manual available to somebody that doesn't own a Tesla, but they should really put this online so people know all the features of all the parameters that you can adjust on this car. I know for a fact that's going to help sales. It's not going to hinder sales. So this is everything, you know, with how the lights work, how to profiles, everything you can do with the car. All right, so that does that. That's for the vehicle screen. Now we'll go to the music screen, and you'll notice that now there's no source button. Now it's kind of a strange thing, but this is actually the source button right here, right? I mean, that should say source, but it doesn't. It's on radio. You touch that, and you can do streaming. Okay, and then you can go back to here, which I thought was a little strange, and hit this, and then we'll ask it to play something. Play Weird Al Yankovic, Amish Paradise. Now, the left knob on the steering wheel controls the volume.
I walk through the valley where I harvest my grain, I take a look at my wife and realize she's very plain. But that's just perfect for an Amish like me. You know I shun.
Okay, there is, now if we go into this again, we can do tune in. Those are local radio stations, PBS New Hour. If we want that, we touch that. That's really nice. You can see this or listen to that from TuneIn. It's just the TuneIn app on your iPhone. It's the same thing. So hit that button again, and go up there, and we're going to change this to phone. If you wanted to play music that was on your phone, this is where you would do it. Like I said, this toggles. This is your source button up here. That's what you got to remember. For right now, I'm just going to go ahead and put it on radio. Okay, and then we're pretty much done with that. And then we toggle it off by hitting that music button down here again on the bottom screen. Now here is where you connect your phone via Bluetooth, and you can, obviously everybody knows how to do this. This is standard stuff in all cars now. You talk to your people, all your contacts on your on your car speaker and microphone through Bluetooth. This is for heated seats. We don't need it. It's 98 degrees today, and heated seats really kill your range on an electric car. Just believe me on it. Been there, done that. Here's your defroster for front. This is defroster for your back, and that's pretty much it for that. And so we're going to go ahead and we're going to start our trip now. And there is I just wanted to show you one more thing. There is if you go here, this button here, this is the other flaw I found besides the mirrors. There's two things that I don't like about this, and I think other people feel the same way. Now, in order to adjust your window wipers, you actually have to hit this button and turn them on, or you put it on auto. And everything, like normal cars, it's all on the steering wheel stick here. Now, on the steering wheel stick, you can push the button on the end of the stick, which will make the wipers wipe once. If you push it in halfway and then go all the way, you can use the windshield wiper fluid. That's all that does. Okay, so the only way you can keep it going, is by doing this. Okay, you go like here, and then you just leave it on like that, and that's the only way it's going to keep it going. Now, let's go ahead and put it on auto. Let's go ahead and put it on auto.
Bruce Rauner said the bill protects gun owners' rights.
See, right now, if it's just sprinkling a little bit just to be annoying, you might want to just leave it off of auto and put it on 2. There's times where you want to do that, and I think that they should put that over here on the, maybe if they made this this left steering wheel stick maybe turnable to adjust all these settings instead of this being here. Put this on the left steering wheel. So it's this and it's the mirrors thing that should be over here on the left side with your left hand instead of over here on the screen. Those are my 2 things that I thought they messed up on a little bit. But other than that, I'm going to get going. I'm going to start from Libertyville, the same place I started with the Bolt. And I'm going to go ahead and make my trip to Kenosha. And we're going to go ahead and reset our, both of our, that's how you reset those, by the way. You just hit this. You can rename them too right there. I renamed them to Efficiency Test 1. This is going with no AC on, no climate control. We'll reset that. And we're starting out with 0 miles, and we're going to see how efficient the car is driving 70 miles an hour on a major freeway with no traffic. Same conditions as I did on the Bolt. So here we go. Now, another thing I just wanted to show you real quick is how to put the car into cruise control. On the right steering stick here, you just push down like this, and right now you can see that I'm using this roller right here to control how fast my speed is, and it's very, very precise how you can adjust the speed. So speed limit's 45. I'm gonna go ahead. Okay, so you can see that here I've driven about 6 miles, and I've used 1 kilowatt hour of energy. So right now, the first 6 miles of my driving, I got 6 miles per kilowatt hour. 6 miles per kilowatt hour. So if you pay 8 cents for every kilowatt hour of energy you use, it costs 8 cents to go every 6 miles on this car. So far. And I'm going, alright, so you can see I'm on 294, and I've set my cruise control to 70 miles an hour, and I've got another 22 miles to drive. So, and you can see that all the sensors, there's 8 cameras on this car. There's 1 radar sensor, and they keep tab on all the other cars that are around you. As you can see, when I was passing those other cars up, you could see them. And when you're within 2 feet of something, it gives you a little red mark over here to show you that you're really close to it to stop. So it's really kind of a cool feature. Anyways, I'll turn it back on when I get to my destination. There's nothing special going on here. It's just a straightaway all the way to Kenosha, another 23 miles at 70 miles an hour, and I'm letting cruise control do all the work. I got my foot totally off the accelerator. Here I am again, still I'm 31 miles into my trip. I've used 7 kilowatt hour, and I'm currently getting 250 watt hour per mile usage. So I got a few more miles to go. I got about 9 miles to go left on my trip. And, so it looks like we're gonna get pretty close to 5 miles per kilowatt hour in this car. Pretty good. Okay, so I'm at the end of my efficiency test 1 without climate control turned on. This is the same route that I took with the Bolt, and I was getting about 5 miles per kilowatt in the Bolt, and on here you can see, I don't know if you can see that, but I drove 40.6 miles on 8 kilowatt hour of electricity, and I'm getting 209 watt hour per mile. Okay, so we'll figure out. Everybody's always asking me, how much does it cost to charge? How much does this cost to operate? So my utility, I buy wind energy, 100% wind power from Green Mountain Energy, and I pay 8 cents per kilowatt hour for wind energy. So what we're going to do, I'm going to explain this to you. So we used 8 kilowatt hour of energy, okay, and we drove 40 miles. So we're going to do I'm going to give you a precise value. I'm going to do 1,000 divided by 209, and that's going to give me, we're going to say 4.8 miles per kilowatt hour. Okay, so for every kilowatt hour we use, we drive 4.8 miles. Okay, so if we use 8 kilowatt hours, and we're going to say 0.08 cents, that's how much we pay per kilowatt hour, okay, of electricity. And we'll times that by 8 kilowatts, because that's how much energy we just used right here to go 40 miles. And we'll hit 8. And you can see here it's 64 cents to go 40 miles. Okay? You got that? So that's about 1.3 cents per mile to operate. Okay? Now if you take a gas car, it doesn't matter what it is, if you get 30 miles per gallon, and gas is $3 a gallon, do the math, okay? 30 miles a gallon, gas is $3 a gallon. You're going to pay 10 cents a mile to operate, as opposed to 1.6 cents a mile to operate on an electric car. Okay, I'm going to do a quick charge demonstration next. I'm also going to do an efficiency test with the AC on, because I had the AC off today, and okay, I'm not sure if you can see this or not. So I just got back from Kenosha. I took 94 back to Illinois, where I live, and today this first efficiency test trip right here, efficiency test number 1 with no climate control turned on, for the whole day I drove 105 miles on 21 kilowatt hour of energy, and I got 190 watt hour per mile, which equates to about 5 miles per kilowatt hour. Okay? So, again, like I already explained, this is going to cost you, if I pay 8 cents per kilowatt hour for wind energy, 100% wind energy. If you're like me and you want to be socially responsible for, for the environment, and you like clean air, and you feel that's your thing, then you can drive 6 or 5 miles for every 8 cents. It turns out to be like a 1.6 miles per kilowatt, or 1.6 cents a mile to operate. So $1.60 will get you 100 miles. A gas-powered car, if you had a Corolla or something similar to this, like maybe an Elantra. Now Elantra gets probably 30 miles to the gallon, and you're paying $3 a gallon for gas, so you're essentially paying 10 cents per mile to operate an Elantra, and then this costs a little bit more. You could use the same analogy with a Camry, or an Avalon, or any of the other luxury cars like this size. A BMW gas-powered car is 30 miles a gallon. That's going to cost you the same amount as this car does. It's $35,000 for a gas-powered piece of shit with 30-year-old, fossil fuel technology. They haven't changed as opposed to this, which you're getting 1.5. You can drive for a penny and a half a mile, and it costs you 10 cents a mile to drive with the same a car that costs the exact same amount that's powered with gas. So you get 6-7 times the efficiency as far as money, your money is concerned on a Model 3. As far as comparing it with the Bolt, you're no matter which car you choose, you're doing right. I mean, I got roughly about 5 miles per kilowatt with the Bolt as well, going on the exact same stretch of road, the exact same place, and the exact same speed. So with the Bolt, I was driving 70 on 94 going north, same conditions. With the Model 3, I was going 70 miles an hour on the same road, same conditions, no rain, whatever. And both of the cars did very well. They got 5 miles per kilowatt hour, and congrats to both the Bolt engineer team and the Tesla Model 3 team, especially the Tesla Model 3 team, especially the high power electronics engineers, what are those, the robot calibrators, the people that program the robots, and the rest of everybody else besides Elon Musk. That's all anybody ever talks about. There's more people than Elon Musk that helped build this car. Elon did not do this himself. This is a very, very they did their homework, and we can do better, even better. I can't wait to get to see Tesla build like a truck, like a pickup truck. I think that's really going to open up the market for the Midwest and the Rust Belt area, because that's where those kind of guys hang out. The farm boys, they like their big trucks, and it's not going to change anytime soon. I don't see that changing. So I think you can market the pickup truck in the Midwest. It'll sell a lot better than this Model 3 will. In cities this around Chicago where I live, that are closer to the city, this will sell really well. There's one more thing that I wanted to show on this here too, was that there's profiles, and I think I was showing you that with this you could create a profile for each user that drives the car, and I'm not sure. Let's see here. I used Dana's profile here, and if I go here, I can add a new driver. I'm just going to call this Jedi Master, because the guy who I borrowed this from is probably going to wonder how I got 200 watt hour per mile. He was getting about 300. And what I'm going to do, and I'm going to create that Jedi Master, hit profile, and then I can save my mirrors right here. Right, and they're already adjusted to where I want them. So I'm just going to go ahead and click that, and I'm going to hit save, and that's pretty much it. Profile will save your driving settings, and then and that's pretty much it. So I'm under Jedi Master now, and I've got all these. We're going to go ahead and make sure that everything that I had set is already here. Which I had for efficiency. There was a couple settings that I tweaked to get the 199 watt hour per mile, as you can see right here, going 70 miles an hour. Okay, I mean that's going nothing but 70 miles an hour the whole way, and I get that kind of efficiency, so that's really good. Display, I'm going to leave it on auto driving. Here, this is what I did. So he had it on standard, so he was getting almost 300 watt an hour. I put it on chill. And now the only way you're going to get the race car kind of performance out of this car is if you put it on standard. If you have it on chill, the car performs very much like it's almost like a Chevy Volt. Like 0 to 60 in about 7 seconds or so. Regenerative braking, I put it on low. And that, again, like I said, is when you are like 300 meters away from a light, you see it way ahead in front of you, and you're going 60, you let off the accelerator, and you let that car coast as far as you can as far as you can let it coast without actually putting your foot on the brake. And what that'll do, that'll actually put more energy back into your battery. Okay, so now autopilot, I actually I pretty much turn this off. The cruise follow distance, there's obviously still some safety software in effect. I don't know where that is. And service, obviously. This is pretty much how I had it here. I'm going to go ahead and I can actually even create my own radio station, I think, if I can find it. Let's turn it back up.
It's fascinating that you would ask that, because I was emailing a friend and saying, well, at least this makes the end a little clearer. I really do, and this is not a partisan point, but I do think that there are
top
moments,
stations. Well, I mean, it's really not that. That's not really that important. I'm just leaving it on radio for right now. And again, that's toggleable, right? So tomorrow, when I bring this back to the owner, I'm going to do another efficiency test down here. If you can see this, I'm going to do another efficiency test, but this time I'm going to have the AC on with the Jedi Master profile. Okay. There is more settings that you can get into by holding that Tesla down, and I don't know what that password is. I'll see if I can find that tomorrow when we can get into other settings. If we hit, you hold that, if you touch it just like that, and you hit this down arrow, there's a bunch of little, like, okay, we're going to do a 0 to 60 test real quick here. It's pretty safe. There's nobody really in front of me. Everybody's gone home. So I'm going to count to 1, 2, 3. Oh, wait, hold on a second. I have to change the driving to standard. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, punch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. About 5.5 seconds. Okay? Okay, so I'm at the Tesla Supercharger here, and I think everybody out there has pretty much seen how you connect the Tesla Supercharger by now, so I'm not going to really even go into that. What we're going to do here is the battery. Okay, now normally because I rented this and I drove it a lot today, and I want to give it back to him with as much energy as I possibly can. So I'm going to go ahead and set the limit. Normally, you don't want it to, you want to keep it right about here for almost all of your driving. Okay, unless you're really going on a long trip. I mean, a real long trip. Then you could, use more than this. But typically, you want to keep it at that level. So it only charges about 85 to 90%. You don't want a float charge. You want about 85 to 90% of the float charge of the entire pack itself, whatever the float charge is. So if the pack was hypothetical, it was 100 volts, and this is way more than the 100 volts. You would obviously want the voltage to be right around 90 volts. Okay, so that's what I'm doing right here. 85 to 90 volts is right where you want it to go. Unfortunately, it does not allow you to set a minimum for whatever. Well, maybe it does. No, it actually doesn't. No, it doesn't let you set a minimum to use. I mean, if you, like with my Chevy Volt, the computer automatically turns on the engine when it hits 35% state of charge to increase the durability of the battery, to make the battery last a lot longer. With the Tesla, you do at least have the option to do this, but to go the other way would be even better. You could set what percent of charge you want it to charge to. Do you want it up to 90%, 85%, and what do you want it to charge down to, the state of charge to be? What's the minimum you want? You should be able to set the minimum here and the maximum. but they don't let you do that here with the minimum, unfortunately. And you can limit this to the current to 48 amps if you have, if you're a 9 to 5 guy, you come home, you get home at 6, and you get up in the morning. You don't even need that. I mean, you can turn this down to even half. You can even turn this down to half, right? So you turn that down to like 30 maybe, or 24, like something like that, 24. If you come home at 6 o'clock, you plug your car in, and you get up, you're ready to go 12 hours later, and you've left it in the car for 12 hours. You can leave it at this just to keep the battery. These are just tips to keep your battery in good health, to make it last a lot longer than it normally would. So I'm just going to put it at, we're at a Supercharger. So I'm going to set it at 48 amps, and the time is now 9:33. I'm going to go ahead and plug the car in right now, and we're going to see how long it's going to take. So it's 9:33. I'm going to hit that. I'm going to go plug it in real quick. Okay, so if you can see on the screen, it tells you that it's starting to charge here. Okay, and we'll sit here and we'll see how long it's going to take. It says that it's estimated 1 hour to charge, and we were down to oh gosh. What were we down to? We were down to 160 miles, so we were down about halfway. We were about 50% state of charge, and right now it's only charging at about 40 kilowatt hour. I mean, it'll probably go a little higher than that. It should go about 50. It's even going to go higher than that. These technically are supposed to go to 120, but that's including 120 kilowatt hours for all the stalls here. There's another Model X sitting next to me charging, so I don't think I'm probably going to get the full 120. See, if there's two cars here, you take 120 divided by 2, so that Model X over there that's sitting next to me is probably using if that wasn't sitting here, I might be able to get the full 120 kilowatt, but 71 kilowatt hour charging is plenty fast, trust me. You're going to see how fast this thing charges here in just a minute. So it's we started at 9:32. We've added 5 miles to our range. And I'm going to go ahead and stop the camera. Okay, so you can see that the time is now 10:08. It's been plugged in for about a half hour, 35 minutes. And 35 minutes we've added 115 miles to the battery pack. And it looks like we're almost about 90%. And as you can see, as the battery charges, the internal resistance goes up, so the power output of the charger goes down. Okay? That's just the way all chargers work. So what I'm going to do now is go home, and I'm just going to fill this last 10% up of the battery with my car charger, and I'll show you how that adapter with the J1772 works with the Tesla, and we'll go from there. So we're ready to go. Time to go home.